Okay, so I'm still working on the substructure here. I still have to do this bit in the front. I've got the center panels put in and ground off, welded up. They're all rosetted in. In other words, they're drilled out and then welded through the drill holes, similar to this situation right here. Anyway, it's been a little bit of a struggle. First thing I did this week was drop the camera and break my camera lens. So wouldn't have mattered. Everything I did in the beginning of the week here, I kind of had to undo. Initially, what I was trying to do before I got too far was to see if I couldn't rig up some pistons, some nitrogen gas springs here to try and raise the hood. The hood is getting very heavy as I start to add the layers and layers of steel. Well, they worked pretty good, but man, I'm going to tell you, those are the springs that are used to hold up the hatch on a Dodge Magnum, which the reason I got those is because they had similar ends, which is just it's like a ball socket type end, and these the hinges that are on this Challenger actually come with that little ball on it. What they don't come with is there's another ball in front at the other pivot point that you'll find on the up models like the SRT8s and the Scat Packs. They'll have the additional ball location, so you could just attach those and put the gas springs on. Anyway, needless to say, the hood spring supports that are on the SRT8 or the regular Challenger ones are meant to lift a much lighter hood. So I do have those on my Charger, which has a steel skin and a steel frame, and I need a hood prop to hold it because the gas springs are not quite enough to hold it on their own, and I kind of wanted this one to hold itself up. Well, it works pretty good, but what happens is it's under a lot of pressure. And let me just open this up here a minute. I'll cut you off and then I'll open this up and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, this is normally where the gas strut would plug into this little ball right here. There's a little ball on the side of the hinge. And the ones for the Challenger are much shorter than this, of course, because they're not lifting a hatchback. And there's another ball that's located somewhere around here. And then this attaches to the ball, and then to the ball in the front, and that holds the hood up. Well, this is a pretty long length from here all the way up here. And what was happening initially when I pulled on the hood, these gas struts are so strong because they're meant to hold up such a large amount of weight. To get them started, it requires a lot of leverage because they're meant to hold up a lot of weight. So what was happening initially is it was pulling the rear of the hood, actually pivoting. It's where the normal bolt-up spots are. There's two bolt-up spots right here. And I had to add additional two bolt-up spots on the bottom side here. You can see them at the back and two tabs to get it to stop rotating. When I pulled on this whole back of this hood would rotate on the hood hinge. So I had to get that to be solid. Well, when you strengthen one spot, the old saying is you find out what's the next weakest spot. Well, the next weakest spot would be this flat profile that I have here that I'm using to frame out the hood. And what was happening, every time I would shut the hood, I would pull on it, and this is just soft enough. It's only a 1/2 inch tall, this profile, that right in here it would deform slightly. So every time I closed the hood, the center of the hood right here was above the fender when it was shut over here. So naturally, I took the shocks off and said, well, I'll leave that for another day. Well, today is the day I decided to start messing with that aspect of it just a little bit to try and see what I could do. And what I decided to do was to add to the profile with some 60 thousandths steel here, and I'm going to create a box in here. And the triangulation, the combination of this arc and the 60 thousandths welded to this, increasing the height of the profile here, should keep the arc rigid so that when I pull on the hood, it shouldn't deflect anywhere in the middle. Hopefully that's the case, but right now it's late in the day, and I have a tendency to make bad decisions this time of day, so I'm not going to mess with it anymore. I've got a direction I want to take, and I have the material I need to do it. So I got a little waylaid. I'm still working on this side here. See, it's a little wobbly. I've got to straighten that out also. The flange that I added to the end over here. This is where the hood's actually going to wrap around onto this extension here, and then there'll be an extension in the front that'll do the same thing. So, you know, with something like this, it's impossible to know how much the hood's going to weigh. So it's impossible to calculate how big of a spring you're going to need. So, you know, when it's all done, it'll be an after the fact type of thing. You know, I guess I could take the hood off and stand on a scale and figure out how much it weighs, and then get the pickup points and have somebody at a spring outfit give me exactly the correct spring for this. But for now, these work fine, except there's a little too much force that goes on these two ends to get the spring started down. But I'm suspecting the more weight that I add, I'll be doubling the weight once I get the skin on this thing. So right now it's pretty heavy, and I think that extra weight will also help to start the spring on its downward stroke. But right now it's like leaning on a stick. You really can't get the darn thing started very easily. They do once they get started, though, they do come down pretty easily. Anyway, that's the avenue I'm pursuing right now. I've got, like I said, I've got all those inner panels welded up, and I'm going to continue on from here. And that's where we're at. All right, I just wanted to show you this closure that I'm going to use to cap off that end and make it more rigid. Little cutouts are where it fits around the frame that's already up in there. So now I'll just get in there and paint that up, prime that up so that all the interior surfaces are coated before I weld it on. I'll be rosetting it through the sides on each side, and that should make it rigid enough that hopefully I won't have any issues by using those larger pistons. Anyway, just wanted to show you that before I put it up in place. Okay, that was a lot of slogging, but we're finally done with the substructure. I've got the perimeter on, and I put these pieces in to make it rigid so that the hood wouldn't fold up when I use these large pistons that are used normally for a Dodge Magnum hatch, which weighs a ton. And I suspect that this will weigh a ton when I get the top skin on it, because it's not exactly light right now, being all steel. But that's what the substructure looks like at this point. And over here I'll show you there's a little bracket that I had to make up and bolt through the shock tower in order to create a second pickup point for the piston. There's already one on the hinge, and this one basically is just bolted through in case for some reason or other I need to move the pivot point. I'll have to modify the bracket and push it back in that direction. What I did was initially I had the hood open from this point down to this point, measuring somewhere around 40 inches. And that was too much of a moment arm, I guess you would call it, for the pistons to actually start the compression. And what I've done is I've dropped it to 36 inches from that dimension. And what that does is it helps just the weight of the hood itself start those pistons on their way, so that it's not, it's not horrible to push it down. So right now I'm doing it with one hand, 2 pistons, and there it is, latched and ready for the top structure to be started. So anyway, this is what it's all looking like at this point. And from this point on, I'll have to get the skin started. I got a little waylaid this last couple of weeks. You may have noticed there wasn't a video or any updates last week. I was visiting my daughter, but out in Tennessee, and I picked up this, which I was pretty happy to get from a friend of mine out there. And this is the roof structure to a Dodge Coronet, 69 Coronet. And the reason I'm happy about this is I've always been wondering about the idea of scratch building a Charger, 69 Charger, or 68 Charger, or something along those lines, just based on some of the parts that AMD has available, all the body panels. They have pretty much everything except the substructure for the roof. They have door jambs. In fact, they do have some of this. They have these roof bows, which are notorious to get rotted out on vinyl top cars. So, and this is not exactly a future project in the sense of I have any plans for it now, but it's a great reference piece for some other ideas that I have. And I understand that AMD is eventually supposed to produce all of these inner structure pieces. There's one here, but you can see underneath there's a second one that goes in this direction and the other direction. There's a panel here. I don't know. I think they might have this structure here. There's a panel on the inside. This one here is where you mate your quarter panels up to your roof structure. This is the Coronet, and it's slightly different back here in the way that the window bed is attached to what a Charger would be, but the window beds are on the Dodge Charger, the 69 Charger sheet metal, the external sheet metal, so if there was anything in the way, you would just cut it away and drop those on. This is the same substructure. Most people are deceived because the Dodge Charger has these large sail panels that come out, and the Coronets and the Roadrunners come down this way, and they have this S-shaped glass at the base. But if you notice, the Charger has these large sail panels, but then the sheet metal returns back in, and then it has a flat window back here. And that return basically conceals the fact that the substructure looks pretty much the same on these cars. But at any rate, yeah, this is something I've been looking for a while, and the price was right. And so I just decided to haul it back with me after visiting with my daughter. And anyways, this is where we're at, and I'm going to end the video right here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.